the great hall of Nova Prime, the Galactic Council met once again. Bright lights glowed above the wide chamber. Floating platforms hovered in perfect silence. Every species had a seat. Some floated, some stood, and others curled their long limbs around glowing crystals. The strongest and loudest sat in the front. The Valtheron, proud warriors with golden armor. The Kreltar, heavy beasts with armored scales and deep voices. The Zariin, glowing minds wrapped in floating energy, and, at the very back, quiet and unnoticed, sat the humans. They never spoke, unless asked. They never interrupted. No loud words, no angry gestures. They only watched. Calm eyes, straight backs, still hands. Many found it strange. Others found it amusing. They are always hiding, laughed a Kreltar elder. Maybe they are scared. Of light. They listen too much and speak too little, said a Valtheron commander. A background species. No courage, no voice. Everyone laughed, except for one. A young Zarian diplomat named Tarin watched the humans with curiosity. He was new to the council, assigned only 2 cycles ago. Unlike the others, he didn't mock. He wondered. Why are they always here? He asked his mentor, if they never speak. His mentor only smiled. They are humans. That is what they do. But that answer didn't satisfy Tarin. He began to pay more attention to them. Each cycle, the humans sat in the exact same place, same posture, same silence. And yet, behind those quiet eyes, something moved. A calm strength, a still storm. Outside the council chambers, rumors began to spread. Patrols sent to the edge of the outer rim had vanished. No distress signals, no survivors, just silence. Some species blamed raiders. Others blamed technical faults. But one report whispered something different. We saw human ships before the signal was lost. Tarin heard the whispers too. He dug through data logs and mission reports. He found more stories like it. Fleets that disappeared after crossing paths with human vessels. No proof. Only fear. He approached his mentor again. Why are humans always there? Where trouble begins. Coincidence, the mentor said. You think too much. But Tarin didn't. Stop thinking. At the next council meeting, the mood was tense. More systems had gone silent. A black void was expanding near the Othari cluster. Probes sent in were lost. Communication blacked out. The council argued. The swarm is returning, cried the Valtheron. There is no proof, shouted the Kreltar. Send scouts, demanded the Zarian. But no one moved. No one volunteered, except for the humans. The lead human stood from his place in the back, slowly, calmly. His voice was soft but clear. We will go. The council chamber fell silent. You? Asked the Kreltar. General. Why you? We were already planning to, the human replied. Our ships are prepared. A Valtheron captain sneered. Looking to run into the dark and disappear, like always? The human said nothing more. He just nodded and walked away. Tarin followed. Him outside. Why do you do this? Tarin asked. Why go where no one else will? The human looked at him, then smiled faintly. Because someone has to. And because we already know what's coming. 2 days later, the human ship silent. Horizon launched toward the dead zone. Tarin watched from the station windows. The ship was sleek, dark, with no flags or colors. Just a quiet shadow moving into silence. He had a strange feeling in his chest. Not fear, not sadness. Something deeper. Like watching a door close before a storm. He turned to his mentor. Why, are they really sitting in the back? This time his mentor did not smile. Because that's where you sit when you don't need to prove anything. The human ship's silent horizon moved into the dead zone. No lights blinked outside the ship. No messages were sent. Only the silent hum of engines echoed through its dark corridors. Inside, the crew was calm, focused, quiet. Each one knew the mission. Each one knew the risks. Captain Lara Hayes sat in the command chair, eyes on the blackness. Ahead. Her voice broke the silence. Status? All systems normal. No contact. Entering black sector now, replied her first officer. Behind them, the starfield disappeared. They were entering pure dark. No stars, no signals, no sound. Back at Nova Prime, the council waited. 1 day passed, then 2, then 4. No word from Silent Horizon. The Kreltar laughed. They ran. Cowards. The Valtheron agreed. They vanished like always. Useless. But Tahreen wasn't convinced. He spent his nights reading old human files. Not council files, real reports. Battles. Fought in silence. Wars no one else even noticed. Victories without parades. One document caught his attention. Operation Cold Sky. A single human ship stopped an alien invasion by hacking an entire fleet's AI from inside a nebula. How? He whispered to himself. Why hide such things? Then, the data feed shifted. A warning signal flared across deep space. A Valtheron outpost, fortified, heavily armed, had gone dark. Its last message was scrambled static and a short phrase. We are not alone. The council panicked. This is war, shouted a Kreltar commander. By whom? Asked Azarian. There was no ship, no enemy, only shadows. And then came another message. It wasn't a call for help. It was a recording, a blurry video. The image shook as the outpost's cameras caught something moving in space. Not ships, not life forms. Something else. Black clouds, like smoke. Alive. Wrapping around. Stations, crushing them, eating them. And in the last second of the video, a voice. Not from the outpost. From the humans. This is Silent Horizon. We've seen them. Do not follow. Then the signal ended. The council fell into silence. What are those things? Asked a young delegate. The swarm? Guest of Valtheron. No. Swarm leaves corpses, said a Kreltar. This leaves nothing. The Zarian elder finally spoke. It is older than swarm. Something forgotten. Something even we feared once. Now they all looked at the human. Seat, it was empty. Where are they now? Tahreen asked quietly. No one answered. Meanwhile, deep beyond the known edge of the galaxy, Silent Horizon drifted through broken systems. Dead stars, burned planets, ships torn apart like paper. Captain Hayes stood at the window, watching the dark clouds shift and move. Not flying, not swimming, feeding. They don't care about power, she said. They're not trying to rule anything. Then, what do they want? Her officer asked. Hayes didn't blink. Nothing. They just exist. And that's the problem. A long silence passed. Then she spoke again. Send the codes. It's time. Back at Nova Prime, red lights lit up across Zareen data towers. An encrypted signal arrived from the humans. It wasn't a request. It was a warning. Begin Defense Protocol 17. Move civilians. Seal weak sectors. Do not engage. We'll handle it. The council stared at the message. Protocol 17? Tahreen asked. The Zarian elder explained. It's not ours. It's human. What does it do? It prepares for extinction. Tahreen's heart raced. The humans knew. They had known before anyone else. Before the council even believed in the danger. While others were laughing, humans were watching. While others ignored, humans prepared. Tahreen walked into the empty council chamber and looked at the human seat in the back. He sat there, just to feel what it was like. And in that silence, he understood. Humans never sat at the back because they were weak. They sat there because they were planning what to do after everyone else failed. Captain Lara Hayes stood in the dim war room aboard Silent Horizon. Holograms floated in the air, maps of dead systems, projections of fleet movements, and swirling black clouds marking the unknown threat. Her face was calm, but her crew knew the weight she carried. We've confirmed the pattern, said her second-in-command. It doesn't follow stars or planets. It follows life. Hayes nodded. And it's getting closer to the core. She looked at the latest data. 10 systems gone, not destroyed, Erased, no debris, no escape pods, no final transmissions, just silence. They're not an army, Hayes said softly. They're an event. On Nova Prime, the Galactic Council was falling apart. The Kreltar demanded all fleets be recalled to protect their territory. The Valtheron refused, calling them cowards. The Zarian tried to mediate, but panic had already begun. And yet, one species was completely silent. The humans. Their seat at the council remained empty until one day a new representative arrived. He walked in alone, dressed in simple black, no weapons, no guards. His name was Commander Eric Voss. He said just one sentence when asked why he came. Because the noise is about to begin. Then he handed the council a file. A small cube that blinked once and activated a full 3D hologram. It was a war plan, massive, precise, brutal, ships positioned along fallback routes, safe zones hidden in black holes, weapon systems that had never been shown to the council, automated factories orbiting abandoned moons. Everything had been prepared. "You were planning this?" shouted a Valtheron leader. "While we talked." "Peace," accused a Kreltar warrior. Commander Voss looked them in the eye. "You talked," he said. "We listened." Back on Silent Horizon, Captain Hayes stood before her crew. They were no longer scouts. They were humanity's first defense line. "You've trained for this," she said. "We are not fighting to win. We are fighting to hold. The real work happens behind us." She activated a hidden file, one even her crew hadn't seen before. Vast structure lit up on the hologram. It was no space station. It was something older, something buried inside a forgotten moon. Project Vantage. It pulsed with energy. A weapon? A signal? Even her officers weren't sure. "Is it ready?" asked her engineer. Hayes nodded. "It's been ready for years. We just never needed it. Until now." Tahrin, the young Zarian diplomat, followed Commander Voss as he walked through the lower levels of the Nova Prime station. They passed massive hangars filled with strange human ships, black, sharp-edged, and silent. "Why didn't you share this before?" Tahrin asked. Voss didn't stop walking. "Because no one would believe us." Tahrin hesitated, then asked the question burning inside him. "What are those things in the dark?" Voss finally stopped. "They're not from this galaxy." "Maybe not." "From any galaxy." Tahrin's voice dropped. "Do you know how to stop them?" Voss looked over his shoulder. "No." He continued walking. "But we know how to slow them down." The humans began activating ships never seen before. Drones that moved like shadows. Fighters with cloaking built into their hulls. Heavy cruisers with engines that didn't make a sound. Other species watched in disbelief. The Valtheron, proud of their golden fleets, realized their tech was decades behind. The Kreltar, with their massive brute ships, understood they couldn't match this silent war style. And still, the humans didn't boast. They didn't threaten. They just worked. Tahrin stood on the upper deck and watched thousands of human ships vanish into space, not even leaving a trace. "Why the silence?" he asked Voss. "Because shouting doesn't stop the dark," Voss answered. In deep space, Silent Horizon reached the edge of the darkness. The cloud was thicker now, moving, thinking. Hayes stood before it, engines off, lights dimmed. She sent a message. "To whatever you are, this is humanity. We don't want war, but we don't run." The dark responded with a flicker, a whisper in the ship's systems, a cold breeze inside sealed corridors, and then alarms. The thing had touched the ship without moving. Hayes gave the order, "Activate Vantage." The ship's systems pulsed. Signal shot into space. Across the stars, something woke up. On a moon long forgotten, machines opened. Massive gears turned. From deep within, something ancient rose. Humans had not built it, but they had found it and reactivated it. Now, it opened its eyes. The ancient structure beneath the forgotten moon had come alive. It wasn't made by humans, but by something far older. Even human records didn't say who built it, only that it was found, reactivated, and never spoken of, outside special command circles. Now, it pulsed with purpose. A message was sent across secret human networks. Vantage is online. Captain Lara Hayes stood on the bridge of Silent Horizon, watching as sensors began to pick up movement. Not ships. Not signals. Something else. The darkness in space wasn't just an empty cloud. It had shape. And it was shifting. From within the black zone, massive tendrils moved, like smoke, but alive. They slid silently through space, coiling around dead stars and frozen planets. Ships sent to scan them vanished without sound. No explosions. No debris. Just gone. Hayes whispered, "They're feeding." Her science officer looked pale. On energy, on matter, maybe even on thought. Suddenly, the lights dimmed across the ship. Far from the battlefront, the Galactic Council panicked. Species blamed each other for waking something ancient. The Kreltar accused the humans of hiding superweapons. The Valtheron demanded to lead the defense, only to watch their fastest scout fleet disappear mid-flight. And still the humans said nothing. Until one day, Commander Voss stood again before the council. He brought a single file, one short video, of Valtheron dreadnought, one of the strongest ships in the galaxy, hovered over a dead planet. It was scanning a faint signal, then suddenly the planet shifted. Its crust cracked open. Dark matter oozed upward like liquid night. The ship tried to escape. The video ended there. Commander Voss stared at them all. "They are not invaders," he said. "They are not conquerors. They are not alive the way you think. They are erasers." Dareen sat in silence, staring at the file. "How do you fight something that doesn't want to win?" he asked. Voss looked at him. "You don't fight to win," he replied. "You fight to stop the end from coming too fast." In deep space, Silent Horizon was now surrounded. The dark tendrils had found them. Hayes gave the order. All power to stealth grid. No weapons unless engaged. The crew held their breath as one of the massive shadow tendrils floated past the ship. It didn't detect them. Not yet. But the crew knew. The longer they waited, the closer it came. Suddenly, a scream echoed through the comms. A nearby human ship, Vanguard Echo, had activated its weapons. Too soon. It fired into the black. The shadows turned instantly. Like a swarm of silent sharks, they descended, and Vanguard Echo vanished. No explosion, no scream. Just gone. Hayes clenched her fists. "They're hunting us by thought, not sound." She turned to her AI systems. "Begin neural dampening. Tell the crew, don't panic. Don't think too loud." The bridge became silent. Even breathing was careful. Measured. Outside, the shadows circled and passed by. Back at Nova Prime, the Council had no choice left. They gave command to the humans. For the first time in galactic history, the background species sat at the front of the war table. Voss laid out the new plan. No grand fleet. Battles. No shining weapons. Just quiet ships, surgical strikes, and sacrifice. The other species protested. "You want us to hide?" The Kreltar roared. Voss shook his head. "I want you to survive." In the shadows of the void, the humans began their real work. They dropped silent beacons behind enemy lines. They left automated mines disguised as broken comets. They used old black hole tech to trap tendrils inside artificial gravity wells. And every time the enemy adapted, humans changed again. Fast, quiet, invisible. Even the dark started to hesitate. Then, Vantage activated its second phase. A signal, coded in frequencies unknown to the rest of the galaxy, was broadcast. It wasn't a weapon. It was a call. Something answered. From deep beyond the edges of known space, a pulse came back. Human sensors. Translated only 2 words. Acknowledged. Approaching. "What did we just invite?" Hayes asked as the stars shifted. Her communications officer swallowed. "Something big, old, maybe older than them." Hayes looked into the growing dark. "Well," she said, "let's just hope it's on our side." The stars shifted. not because of light or movement, but because something else had entered the galaxy. It didn't arrive with fire. It came with silence, and even the ancient dark, the thing humans had fought in the shadows, paused. Onboard silent. Horizon. Captain Hayes felt it before sensors confirmed it. A pressure in her chest, like the space around her, had grown heavier. New object detected, the AI said quietly. It is not shadow. It is not matter. It is undefined. From the black fog, a shape emerged. It was huge. Not a ship, not a being, but something in between. A structure with wings like folded time, and a glow that looked like thought turned into light. At the Galactic Council on Nova Prime, alarms blared. Screens flickered as sensors overloaded. And still, no danger was detected. Commander Voss stood up slowly. "It's answering us," he said. Vantage called it. We asked, and it came. Tahreen, still shaken from the last session, stared in awe. "What is it?" Voss didn't smile. He didn't blink. He just whispered, "Something that remembers us." The shadows stirred again. Thousands of tendrils rushed toward the new light. And then, the first real sound ever heard from the dark echoed across space. A shriek, not of pain, but of recognition. They knew it, and they feared it. In that moment, across every human ship, a message appeared. "Protocol Sigma unlocked. Engage with support." Hayes clenched her jaw. "It's time." The human fleet didn't rush in. No screaming charges, no dramatic explosions. Instead, a silent network of tactical pulses lit up space. Minds activated. Black. Hole snares triggered. AI-controlled drones released coordinated distortions to confuse the enemy. And then, the light moved. Not fast. Not violent. It unfolded. And wherever its glow touched the shadow tendrils, they twisted, screamed, and unraveled, as if they were only ever fear-given form. Council members watched from a secure relay channel, stunned into silence. The Valtheron, proud and angry, said nothing. The Kreltar stared in disbelief. Tahreen turned to Voss. "You knew this would happen?" Voss shook his head. "No, we hoped." "Why didn't you tell us?" The human looked at him with eyes like stone. "Because no one listens to the ones in the back." Across the galaxy, the tide turned. Not with fire, but with understanding. The shadows had survived so long because no one knew how to fight them, but humans did something different. They didn't fight. They adapted. They studied. They waited. And when they acted, they didn't do it alone. They called something older than fear. The battle was over within hours. The last of the dark tried to flee, but the light followed. And when it faded, the stars returned. Real stars, not veiled in shadow. Captain Hayes stood on the bridge of Silent Horizon, silent for a long time. Her crew waited. Then she said softly, "Log it." "What name, Captain?" the comms officer asked. She looked out at the stars. "We ended the darkness." Back on Nova Prime, the council gathered again. But this time, humans sat in the front. Not because they wanted power, but because now, everyone turned to them with quiet respect. Voss gave his final report. No grand speech. No victory shout. Just the truth. "We were mocked, forgotten, ignored," he said. "We sat in the back not because we were weak, but because we were listening." He looked around the room. "We knew one day someone would need us." He stood, tall, paused, and finished. "And now the galaxy knows why we stayed quiet. Because when the end came, only humans remembered how to stand in the dark,